The greatest memories and the latest hits on Melbourne's 979 FM.
At Monty's Kitchen Cabinets, we are there from the quote to the install. We do everything from kitchens, built-in wardrobes, vanity units, desks, bars, laundry cabinets and glass splashbacks. For your free, no obligation quote, call Stephen on 0413 958 352 today. Winners of the 2017 and 2018 Venture Business Melbourne Excellence Awards. Monty's Kitchen Cabinets, proud sponsors of 979 FM.
This is a 979 FM Community Diary.
Sons of the West is a free health program for men aged 18 and over. The program is delivered by Melbourne City Council in conjunction with the Western Bulldogs Community Foundation. Throughout the 10 weeks, participants will meet a range of experts who discuss topics related to physical and mental well-being. Along with lots of information provided each week, participants have the opportunity to put their runners on, get active and have some fun. Qualified professionals are on hand to ensure support is available for men of all fitness levels. The program is a great way for men to learn ways to improve their health, meet other men in the community and have some fun and a few laughs at the same time. Sons of the West is not really for fitness fanatics and sports stars. It's for all men to come together to learn tips and tricks to leading a healthier and more active lifestyle. Sons of the West is a free 10-week program commencing on Tuesday the 17th of March at Taylors Hill Community Centre, 7pm to 9pm, and Thursday the 19th of March at Arnold's Creek Community Centre, 4:30 to 6:30 and 7pm to 9pm. For more information or to enrol, please contact Leanne Christie at Melbourne City Council on 9747 7200.
The 979 FM Community Diary. Simply email details to communitydiary@979fm.com.au or post to PO Box 979 Melton, Victoria 3337. Become a volunteer or announcer at 979 FM by emailing info@979fm.com.au, writing to PO Box 979 Melton 3337 or calling 9747 0450 during business hours. 979 FM.
Hey, I'm Nellie Picato. Hi, we're the Bengals. Hey, this is Maddie Borat.
This is John Mayer.
The home of the West's best stereo.
Some memories.
And I've been chillin', watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our cloudlands when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes don't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. You got me holding, and I'll be running, 'cause that's why I'm low, low voodoo.
Hello, 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 hello! Ayan na yan na yan na yan na yan! Ito na po ang inyong Good Vibes Pilipinas dito lang sa 97.9 FM Melton Commuter Radio West Best Stereo Filipino Aussie Program. Good Vibes Pilipinas! Boom!
Boom!
Ayan, ito po ulit ang yung Papi Melvin Mata kasama si...
Bibo Santos po, maraming salamat po sa mga subaybay po natin. I-like and share po natin ang ating mga yung app natin. At of course, ang ganda-ganda ng topic natin ngayon, Papi, ha?
Oh,
Very helpful talaga.
It is a forum on the family violence provisions of the immigration law and pertinent visas. Okay, meron tayong two guests. Actually, mamaya i-announce natin sila, i-introduce. So habang pinapainit pa natin ng konti, inintay pa natin si Mayora, siguro we're going to proceed on the forum proper in 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes.
I would just like to invite all na Filipino Australians dyan sa Pinoys in Melbourne, Pinoys in Melbourne Facebook pages, Facebook groups. Yeah, yung mga Philos in Melbourne. Pati nandyan sa Oragon, Western Australia.
Local Pinoy, and also here in Melton. And of course, Papi, huwag natin kakalimutan na being a healthcare worker dito sa Australia, sa government, we're very happy right now. Open na. Okay?
Yes.
Open na. 2 days na tayo na
100%.
0-0. Okay, and ngayon, 2-2 and hoping na magtuloy-tuloy nito hanggang Pasko. And also, hanggat guys, being a healthcare worker, always remind, di naman sa pagiging KJ natin, like kung sinasabi, wala pa tayong vaccine, always practice social distancing, and also, wear your mask. Yun talaga, public service reminder yan.
I think it's a common sense now na na-absorb na natin, na-adapt na natin yung culture nung preventive measures natin para maging magkaroon ng infection at spread ng virus na to. So this is a pandemic, global pandemic, ladies and gentlemen, kaya talagang mahirap. So pero pasensya lang, pasensyus tayo. And be proud because kahit paano hindi tayo ganun, 'di ba? Masyado na apektuhan because of the system na inimpose ng ating Victorian government.
Yes, Papi. And most of the country all over the world, di ba? Naiinggit sa atin dahil alam mo, nagawa sa laki ng Victoria, nagawa natin. Congratulations bukod sa government, also sa mga mamamayan na sumunod sa protocol. Congratulations sa atin. Keep it up!
Yes. Also, batiin ko yung andyan sa Pinos East Gippsland. Mga Filipino-Australian dyan sa Gippsland. Dyan sa may Burnsdale, sa may Lakes Entrance, malayo na yun dito sa Victoria White. So, inimbitahan ko po lahat na makipag-interact sa amin dito sa isang medyo maselan na topic natin, na forum natin, yung the family violence provisions nga to. So, we have 2 guests. They are very, very knowledgeable and, di ba? Equipped sila talaga sa ganitong mga topics because they're parang frontline sila eh.
Frontline, tama.
Para ikaw, Bibo.
Yes, and maraming salamat din sa kanila dahil binigyan tayo ng sinasabi natin. Chinus nila ang Good Vibes Pilipinas just to spread the proper information.
Yes.
And speaking of Good Vibes, patingin ko muna lahat na naka-online ngayon guys Si Ibrahim Kate is watching, Vicente Agonia Merderito is watching, Rosa Inicia Ramos also watching, and Romeo Gomez. And also, Papi, I would like also to give a good shout out. Kabubukas na ng face-to-face learning namin sa Learners.
Wow!
We're very happy na accommodate lahat ng mga parents and students. One-on-one tayo ngayon kasi, Papi, pinano natin ngayon yung sinasabi natin social distancing, lahat ng mga COVID protocol, ginagawa po namin. So, one-on-one to, small group guys, hindi sila sama-sama. And also registered under Victorian Institute of Teaching, member of Australian Association. On-site, we have COVID safety plan and we have welcome sa pagbabalik ninyo lahat. Welcome in Learners Hub, your mind is an asset. Go ahead.
So, habang inantay pa natin si Mayora, I would like to welcome our 2 guests dyan. So, I would like to introduce them. And gusto ko lang ipakita din na meron tayong slides mamaya. Just for, diba? Just for the education ng ating mga viewers and our listeners dito sa 97.9 FM community. And also, we are in a Filipino-Australian community base, but since we are in the radio now, siguro marami ding maintindihan yung ibang lahi sa atin. So, hopefully, last time nag-impose tayo ng ganitong forum with Ate Melba Marginson. Meron tayo, di ba? Meron tayong nag-step up na tao.
And also, Papi, marami na nag-open, di ba? Marami nag-open sa mga oras na yun, sa lahat na nakikinig. In-open nila yung mga sitwasyon nila. And of course, we always practice confidentiality kung ayaw nyo sabihin.
For sure. Ayun.
Alright. Okay, so Papi, napaka-exciting. While waiting to Mayora, I'll also give a good shout-out sa lahat ng sponsors natin.
Yes!
MLB Group of Companies by Sir MLB, Mike Venezuela, si Papa ating Alan Migration, si Alan Miranda, and also ang Talyer Auto, and also kay Bing ng Mighty Finance. Okay. Coming soon sa mga mga sponsors natin parating. Maraming salamat sa pagtitiwala sa Good Vibes Pilipinas.
Okay. So gusto ko lang i-introduce yung ating ayun, papasukin natin si Mayora. Gusto ko si Mayora.
Yun! Boom!
Mayora ang
Yes.
maging floor general ngayon. Ayan, Mayora. Welcome,
Welcome,
welcome.
Matsume! What's up, what's up?
What's up, Bibo, Papi?
Yan. Pinaganda pa ni pinaganda pa ni
Oo,
Inday.
syempre kailangan.
Ni
Yes,
Inday
baka
si
mabuhay.
Mayora, ha? Kung sa si Inday, Mayora.
Ayun, nagmamaganda pa din si Inday. As usual.
Actually, guys, just to inform you, this coverage, this live stream is actually recorded for 97.9 FM airing on Thursday. That's going to be tomorrow from 8 to 10 p.m. So, that means mapapakinggan nyo to lahat dito lang sa 97.9 FM Community Radio dito sa Melton. And you can also install yung TuneIn app. Kung andyan kayo sa iba't ibang bansa, you can you can listen to 97.9 FM live dyan sa TuneIn app na yan. Ayan, Mayora. Actually, inintay ka na lang namin para introduce ang ating two guests.
Yay! Okay. Sige, mag-umpisa na tayo. We're ready.
Siya nga pala, forum, so we need some, di ba? We need some bylaws ni Mayora.
Yes.
Rules.
So, this evening, we are going to talk about the family violence provisions of the immigration law and pertinent visas. And we have two guests with us. We have Paul Dizon. He is an Australian registered migration agent and also a New Zealand immigration advisor. And we also have Mursha Gapasin. She is the project officer of the Silent Witness Network. But before we start, I would just like to encourage all our viewers or our listeners as well that we encourage respectful discussion throughout the program. Okay, so if you have comments, reactions, or questions, please type it in our comment box, okay? And we will address them after the presentation. Okay, so let me first introduce to you Mursha. Mursha moved to Australia 5 years ago to complete her doctoral studies in sociology at Monash University. And now she works as the project officer of the Silent Witness Network. Hello, Mursha! Magandang
Hi, Mursha.
gabi!
Mabuhay, mabuhay.
Hello, mabuhay! Magandang gabi, magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ang ganda mo, Mayora!
Oh, syempre.
Fresh na fresh ang hitsura. Parang hindi gabi.
Correct.
Anyway, magandang araw din at magandang gabi sa ating mga tagapakinig at taga-subaybay sa Good Vibes Pilipinas. At maraming salamat sa Good Vibes Pilipinas for having us today. So, I would just like to introduce a bit about yung organization kung saan ako galing. So, I come from the Silent Witness Network. It is a multicultural organization na ang layunin ay prevention of family violence. And we do that through training, advocacy, and community education. So I'm currently working for them as project officer, and I am coordinating Ugnayan, which is a project that aims to promote family violence prevention, particularly in the Filipino community. So meron din kaming Facebook page called Ugnayan Melbourne. Pwede nyo kaming i-follow doon. So you can go there and find out about our activities and the resources we've created so far in terms of community education. So a primary component of our work at Ugnayan is really community education, and I'm quite happy to have connected with Paul, who's our other guest tonight, and with Good Vibes Pilipinas to host us for this forum. We also do referrals. So gumagawa rin kami ng referrals. So the Silent Witness Network is not a specialist service provider, but what we can do is refer members of the community to specialist family violence services. So if you call us, kung tatawagan ninyo kami to inquire about support services for family violence, we can either give contact details of the services and you can contact them directly, Or if you prefer, gumagawa rin kami ng tinatawag na warm referral, where you give us your consent to call the services on your behalf, give them an overview of your situation, your details, and then request them to get in touch with you with advice and further support. So currently, we are looking to have additional staff at TSWN and hopefully establish and streamline a referral hotline for the Filipino community soon. So that's for the organization. And also, I just would like to give an overview of family violence just to have a sort of common starting point for us before we move on to the main discussion. So family violence refers to any behavior that is done by one member of a family to another member of that family. So it can happen between married couples sa mag-asawa or even those in an intimate relationship, yung tinatawag nating de facto relationship. O kahit yung mga hindi nagsasama pero may intimate relationship sila sa isa't isa. It can happen between parents and their children, grandparents and grandchildren, between siblings. It can include kins or relatives, yung mga kamag-anak, and even persons who are not related to you, but whom you are in a family-like relationship, such as a primary carer. So medyo malawak ang sakop ng konseptong family pagdating sa family violence. And the behavior in family violence is a behavior that is threatening, nananakot, violent, controlling, intimidating, and it causes the other person to feel fear and worried about their safety and well-being, or to feel fear for the safety of another member of the family, such as the children. So again, it is broadly defined, and if we look at the Victorian Family Violence Protection Act, it includes behaviors such as physical injury, sexual assault, harming pets, economic abuse, emotional or psychological abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse, and isolating the other person from friends and family. At gusto ko ring i-highlight ito kasi kasama rin sa definition niya ng family violence yung exposure of children to such behaviors. So kahit na hindi sila mismo yung sinaktan, kung nakita nila na may pananakit na nangyayari sa loob ng pamilya, that's also considered as family violence. It also includes legal abuse. So that's using the legal system to manipulate the other person. And so this session is really relevant because of the legal aspects involved when the victim or yung taong nakaka-experience ng family violence is on a temporary visa, for instance, because the perpetrator or the person committing violence may use that to further control or threaten the victim. Also, one of the things we know so far is that family violence can happen to anyone, regardless of gender, age, cultural background, religious affiliation, or even profession, or even economic status. Although, studies would show us na mas marami talagang biktima na babae kaysa sa lalaki. Also, there are members of the population who are at higher risks of experiencing family violence kasi yung mga circumstances nila ay mas disadvantaged sila. They also face additional challenges in terms of accessing support. So these groups include yung Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women, yung mga nakatira sa rural and remote areas, people with disabilities and mental health concerns, yung LGBTQI people, mga bata, mga seniors, the elderly, women from culturally and linguistically diverse communities, and that includes our community, Filipino community, and also women on temporary visas. And so we are really fortunate to have with us someone who has expertise in matters related to the immigration law in Australia, who can give us information on what to do if anyone or someone we know are in a family violence situation and are concerned that their migration status is at risk or that they can be willingly deported. So again, maraming salamat for having us, and I think that's it for an overview from me, and I'll now turn it over to you, so then we can have the next topic or the main topic.
Napakadami pala ng definition nitong family violence, ano? Ang dami pala nating hindi nalalaman. So, maganda yung sinabi ni Mursha na napakalawak pala ng sakop nito. At least ngayon nagkaroon tayo ng kaunting kalaman. Siguro mas kailangan pa nating pag-ibayuhin yung ating pagkaunawa para, alam mo yun.
Yes, Mayora. Yes, ma'am. I'm very happy rin. That's nalaman din natin, hindi lang talaga family, kasi yung sinabi ni Miss Mursha na kahit na intimate relationship at may nakakita ng violence, so saklaw din nun. So, diba pag basta nakikinig pag sinabing family violence, within the family lang, or mag-jowa-ers or what. So, sasabi natin na pwede pa lang yun, pwede pa lang maging involved din pala talaga. Sakop din pala yun ng family violence. So, napakagaling, napakaganda.
At saka yung mga senior, di ba? Mga senior, ang mga bata. At tama yung sinasabi ni Miss Mursha na hindi lamang nangyayari ito sa mga low-income families. Maaari rin itong mangyari sa, sa iba't ibang pamilya with different kinds of socio-economic backgrounds and status, di ba? O sige.
Ayan, Mayora, gusto ko munang banggitin, okay? I-mention yung shout-out ni Ate Melba Margensen. Sabi ni Ate Melba Margensen, well done! Good vibes for having family violence topic again. Mabuhay kayo. And also from Dubai, Hermie Lambert, shout-out, sabi niya. And mag-ads muna tayo bago natin ipasok si Paul. Paul, are you ready after this? Alright.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Physically, mentally and emotionally in only 30 days. 15th of March to the 15th of April. Activities include wellness, fashion, yoga and meditation, motivation, grooming and a transformational portfolio. Like us on Facebook at The Divas. Register your expression of interest at thedivas.com.au/register or phone 0433 077 896. The Divas is a sponsor of 979 FM.
MLV Group are in the business of providing financial security and happiness to all Filipino migrants to Australia by providing a one-stop shop for all their financial, business, and social needs. Sponsor of 97.9 FM.
No, don't stop a rocket!
979 FM, the little station with the big sound.
Radio with personality. 979 FM.
Breaking news, Explosions Bar and Bowl is now open. Explosions Bar and Bowl is located at 125 Bakery Square. It has 10 lanes for 10-pin bowling, 50 arcade games, a pool room, function facilities for all your party requirements for both kids and adults, a full functional bar together with a kitchen that will look after your appetite. Explosions Bar and Bowl is open every day from 10 a.m. till 8. Proud sponsor of 979 FM.
Has someone you know or a family member been involved in the Defence Forces with combat service? Do you need support, friendship, understanding, and information on benefits? We support locally and are united nationally. We are the partners of Veterans Association of Australia. Please contact us at the cost of a local call on 1300 553 835. 1300 553 835. We can help.
Ayan, ito po uli ang inyong Good Vibes Pilipinas Family Tilas 97.9 FM Melton Community Radio, Filipino-Australian Community Radio, West Best Stereo. Good Vibes Pilipinas.
Boom! Boom!
Ayan, Mayora, fire!
O sige, pakilala na natin ang ating guest speaker. Paul holds a Bachelor of Laws, Bachelor of Arts, Cultural Studies, Master of Business Administration, and Graduate Certificate in Migration Law and Practice. He is an Australian registered migration agent, MARA number 1067203, and a New Zealand immigration advisor, IAA number 201502038. With over 10 years of practice, his experience has covered all aspects of immigration law with particular success in strategic, complex, and corporate matters. Paul has appeared in Australian national television, radio, and online media. He was also featured on the recent SBS documentary, Who Gets to Stay in Australia? That's the title. Paul is a second generation Australian of Filipino descent. Hi, Paul. This is Paul Dizon. Magandang gabi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Magandang gabi at salamat sa pagpapaunlak mo sa amin. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate and am honoured to be here tonight to present a very important topic to everyone. Just to excuse myself, I don't speak Filipino very well, so I do understand it. So, well, conversationally anyway. But I get a bit of a nosebleed if I try to speak Tagalog.
That's okay, Paul.
But yeah, so look, if anyone has any questions, please share it with us. I'm sure the guys here would be happy to translate anything that might be need to be clarified or misunderstood. But tonight I'll be presenting, as mentioned, a very important topic in immigration law. Particularly around this time with the lockdown and the COVID situation, family violence is occurring and increasing over the last few months. So I think it's important that everyone's informed and that everyone has the correct and the accurate information. And I'm very pleased to be here tonight to be able to present that information to you. It can be a very complex area, but I have attempted to make it easy to understand. And certainly, as with what Mursha said, there is a lot of support and referrals that are available to you if you are experiencing this situation. But yeah, thank you for having me. And yes, I can begin the presentation if you'd like.
Yes, Paul.
I will just try and I do have a PowerPoint, so I'll share that with you now. All right. Okay, could everyone see that? Does that work? Yes, okay, good. All right, so tonight we're presenting family violence and Australian immigration. So how that works in the Australian visa scheme. So if you do have any questions, feel free to ask. I think you'll be able to ask questions in the chat. They will be relayed to me by the other presenters, but probably towards the end is a good time to start sharing some comments or asking some questions, as you might find that some of the questions that you have are answered throughout the presentation. So just a little bit about myself. May has made an introduction to me, but I have been in practice for over 10 years. And I am based in Melbourne in the Footscray area. That is where my office is located, and we do handle diversity in a range of immigration matters, particularly complex matters, including family violence matters. So family violence not only in opposite sex relationships, but also same-sex relationships, including married, de facto and fiancé relationships. So Mursha's given an overview of the definition of family violence. It does cover a range. It is a very broad kind of definition, and it can include a number of things, but essentially family violence is physical or psychological abuse or harm, forced sexual relations or assault, or forced isolation or financial deprivation, which occurs to the victim, maybe yourself, or it also is, as was mentioned before, can be against your dependents or your children or anyone who is dependent on you in the same family dynamic. So how does family violence work in immigration law? Essentially, Australia doesn't tolerate violence in relationships. So if your relationship has ended because of family violence, your visa can still be approved if you have the relevant and specific evidence to demonstrate that. One important thing to note is that family violence provisions really only are available in the fiancé and partner visas. Okay, so you can claim family violence if you hold a prospective marriage, also known as a fiancé visa, or have applied for a de facto or married partner visa. But you must have evidence that the family violence actually occurred during the relationship, not before it started or after it ended. It needs to be shown that it happened while you were in that relationship. And also that your fiance, as I said before, and if you are able to do that, then you can prove that family violence has occurred, and you will have consideration for your partner visa to be approved without your sponsor. There is a question about other visas. So, if you're holding a visitor visa, student, working visa, skilled visa, unfortunately, there is no provision at the moment that allows for the family violence to be initiated if you're holding one of those other visas that are not a fiancé or a partner visas. However, if you don't hold one of these visas, there are still options for you. You can apply for your own separate visa, provided that you are eligible for another visa, so you separate yourself from the visa with your partner. If you're waiting for a permanent visa to be approved, and you can wait for it to be approved, then if you decide to leave the relationship, perhaps wait until the permanent visa is approved, because once a permanent visa is approved, they can't revoke it, and therefore you retain your permanent residency. But obviously that is a call that you need to make as to whether you are willing to wait for a permanent visa while you're in that relationship. And the last real option is to leave the relationship, or if you have to leave Australia as well. So with other visas that do not have the family violence provision in them, I guess there is no option that can consider just yourself on that visa if you are attached to that visa with a partner, or if you're a secondary applicant. But the majority of these situations occur, I suppose, in a partner visa application, or those who have applied for a partner visa. So this presentation will focus on that. People want to know what do you need to do if you are experiencing family violence, and what evidence do you need to have? So there are two types of documents that you can submit in order to claim your family, that you've experienced family violence. The first category of documents or evidence is a court document. So you only need to provide one document from a court that is issuing an injunction against your partner, that has that is a court order made by the police against your partner, or a court conviction of guilt against your partner. So if your partner, if the court decides, say criminal court or family court, decide that your partner is guilty of assaulting you. So these kind of court documents are obtained through a legal course of action, either by the police or through a lawyer. So those are official court documents. So if your situation is at a point where you are making a case, a legal case against your partner, and the court makes that decision in favour of you, then you just need to show one of the court documents to submit in your partner visa for you to claim family violence. However, in a majority of situations, a lot of people who are subject, a lot of victims, I suppose, don't necessarily go all the way to court or have lawyers or police involved in their situation. So it would be more applicable if they were to submit non-court documents. So non-court documents are the following. So a non-court document can be a medical doctor or an official report of family violence written by a medical doctor or a registered nurse. So for example, if you have been physically abused, or if you have harm that's done towards you and you have to go to hospital, then the doctor at the emergency or a nurse at the emergency they may be able to write a report from your incident. So a police officer, if you report the incident to the police officer, and a police officer can write a report. A child welfare or child protection authority, a registered psychologist or a social worker, a women's refuge or family domestic violence crisis centre, or a family consultant or relationship counsellor, or a school counsellor or school principal. I guess that's mainly in relation to children. So these are a list of people that are eligible to write an official report in support of your family violence claim. So you need to obtain at least 2 official reports from any of these listed professionals or people or organisations that support your claim, plus your own statutory declaration, your own statement, and that as a group of documents will be accepted for consideration for a family violence claim. That's if you do not have a court document. Now, the following, just to put things into context so you have a bit of an idea about different scenarios, I am presenting 3 case studies or 3 examples. So in this first case study, a woman is being verbally and physically abused by her partner. Also, the partner does not give her any money and is always threatening to cancel her visa and deport her. So she's very scared and wants to leave her partner. So what can she do? So obviously, if she's in danger, she should call 000. That's something you should not hesitate to do. If you are in imminent danger, you should call emergency services. She can report the incident to the police, and in most cases, the police will initiate a restraining order against the partner of a family violence case. She may speak to a GP and obtain a referral to a social worker or a psychologist, or she can contact a women's refuge or family domestic violence centre, or even one of the, as listed in the documents for non-court documents, any of those professionals she can approach, or she or he can approach. But it's important that the person, or that she doesn't endure that sort of violence, and that she acts on it immediately and starts seeking help. So that gives some guidance as to what someone can do if they are experiencing the situation. Now, in the second case study, we're looking at a woman who has an 11-year-old daughter. She meets a caring and generous man, and they get married. The man sponsors the woman and the daughter under the partner visa, and the woman's happy in her new marriage. One day the woman comes home early from work and finds her husband sexually molesting her daughter, and the husband begs the woman not to tell anyone. Now, is this family violence? Yes, it definitely is. As I mentioned, the family violence or abuse does not have to be directed to the applicant or the woman themselves. If they have a dependent, whether it be a child or say a dependent parent, an elderly, and their sponsor is inflicting abuse onto them, then that situation gives rise to a family violence case and is considered in the partner visa situation. Now, in the last case study or scenario here, we're looking at a woman who's been physically and emotionally abused for a couple of years, and she leaves her partner and moves into her friend's house. So this situation, she hasn't really told anyone except her friend, and her friend invites her to stay with her and kind of leave her partner. Now, her partner tells immigration, and the relationship ends. So the partner tells immigration that the relationship has ended, and then he withdraws the sponsorship of the partner visa. Now, what would happen is that the immigration department will contact that woman and say, you have 28 days to respond, to reply in relation to your sponsor saying that your relationship ended. So what has happened? Now, you can't, you can't just say, oh, well, I don't, there was family violence. So she then sees her doctor and has a session with a psychologist. She also issues a restraining order with the police, okay? The question is, can she claim family violence? So you have to look at the timeline here. So she's left the relationship, she hasn't told anyone. She finds out that her partner has told immigration that their relationship has ended and has withdrawn the sponsorship, and the department's giving her 28 days. It's not only there, it's only then that she goes and sees a doctor and a psychologist and gets a restraining order. So will this be acceptable? Unfortunately, it might be a bit too late. Okay, why? Because the relationship's already ended. Okay, the doctor and the psychologist, when you have family, when you see a psychologist or a counsellor or your doctor, generally one session isn't necessarily enough for them to verify whether you've been in a family violence situation or not, unless there's some sort of physical evidence or report to the police or something like that. So, of course, it depends on the severity of the situation, but to seek or to speak to a professional after this has all happened, especially when a partner's already withdrawn their sponsorship, can jeopardize the application, because you have to convince the case officer that this happened while you were in the relationship, not after it had ended. And even with the restraining order, they're not really going to backdate a restraining order. If you were physically abused a year ago, and then the following year you go to the police and say like a restraining order, they're going to issue the restraining order immediately on today's date. They're not going to backdate it a year ago. So if she went to seek a restraining order after this has all happened, then that restraining order will be dated after the relationship has ended. So those are the reasons why it may be too late to be able to claim a family violence situation. So don't wait until the relationship has ended. If it's happening while you're in the relationship, or if something's happening now, don't put up with it. Do something about it. Okay. And these are just a summary of the key points that I've addressed in our presentation. Family violence can only be used at this stage if you hold a fiance or prospective marriage visa, or if you've lodged a partner visa application. So even if you are waiting for your temporary partner visa to be processed, or you hold the temporary partner visa and waiting for the permanent visa to be processed, that can all, as long as you've lodged your partner visa or submitted it, even if it's still being processed, you can incite the family violence claim. You don't have to wait until the first part is approved or whatever. You as long as it's lodged, then you can claim that. Family violence must have happened during your relationship, not after it has ended. So as mentioned, you must have at least one court document or 2 non-court documents. You must declare that your relationship ended because of the family violence. This is important because if you experience family violence and then you tell them, oh, my relationship ended because I didn't like him anymore, or another reason that is not related to family violence, then you can't say it's family violence. So yeah, your relationship must have ended because of that family violence, and that if it was not for family violence, then you would have stayed in that relationship. And the final thing that I want to reiterate is that if you believe you are in a family violence situation, domestic violence situation, one thing I do emphasize is that people start recording details of the incidents. Okay, you don't have to necessarily get on the phone and start calling, the police or psychologist. You can seek, depending on the situation you're in, you can call one of the family violence hotlines. You can call Mursha. They can refer you to an appropriate person. If you feel that things are happening or you're not too sure, you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, or you feel that something is, something like behavior is changing in the person that you feel might lead to something violent, then you need just get a notebook or get, your own journal and start writing things down. And, write down the date, what happened, and the reason why you feel unsafe. And then you have your own log and your own diary, so that if it comes to a point where you need to start reporting this or need to see a psychologist or a doctor or a professional, at least your memory and your detail is accurate because you've made a diary of what's happening. Okay? And that comes to the end of the presentation. I hope that was okay for everyone. But of course, do reach out to me. And if you do have a question you'd like to ask, you can email me or you can give me a call. But this presentation is available to everyone, this PowerPoint, so I am happy to share this with you if you'd like to keep that handy.
Ayan, ang ganda-ganda ng ating presentation actually, but we need to, thank you, Paul. We're going to have some ads first, and then we'll proceed to the question and answer.
Sure.
All right then. Very nice presentation. Actually, it's a parang mind-blowing sa akin. Yung presentation.
But it's helpful.
Yeah. All right.
SD Property Consulting finds out what the client's individual needs. They work only with quality builders, land developers, and financial companies that are 100% dedicated to look after their clients and to constantly satisfy them, taking every step of the way. SD Property Consulting, sponsor of 97.9 FM.
Melbourne's hot mix of the 80s, 90s, hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, go play, and today, 979 FM.
Solid Gold Radio, 979 FM.
Do you want to discover the newest playgrounds, enjoy a great night out, and taste the best treats on offer in the city of Melton? The free Melton City Much More app will help you to discover, taste, enjoy, and explore much more in the city of Melton. Download the Melton City Much More app today from Apple iTunes or Google Play. Melton City Council is a sponsor of 979 FM.
Home loan applications, refinance options, personal loans, car finance, no problemo. Mighty Finance is where you need to go. Contact us now at 0406 881 477. Sponsor of 97.9 FM.
What's today?
It's Thursday.
Really? Feels like Tuesday.
Tuesday has no feel. Monday has a feel. Friday has a feel. Sunday has a feel.
I feel Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, shut up, the both of you.
You're making me nervous.
Get that 979 FM feeling every day. With a great mix of music and the biggest variety, check out 979 FM's program guide on your computer, smartphone or tablet at www.979fm.com.au.
How about a talking noisy box? Inside, there are tiny sprites a talking to you, but they can't hear your mind unless they're doing a phone-in.
This is 979 FM.
Yeah.
Ayun. Mayoran, any reactions?
Ang dami kong natutunan.
Yes, Ate May. And also, marami rin sa mga reaction din. Marami na rin nag-react na napakalinaw. Well said, Sir Paul Dizon. We're very thankful, fortunate enough na having you here in our show.
My pleasure.
Yes, Ate Liz Kumara said, this is great. Ayan.
Yan. And also, mga nag-share, pwede kayo magtanong, guys. Don't be shy, ha? Nandito ang Good Vibes Pilipinas para malinawan ng iyong mga katanungan. And also, nakita ko pa, Ate May, no? Sinabi niya, Sir Paul, sinabi niya, may specific visa rin pala ang pwede sinasama sa family violence. So, at least doon, nalinawan din yung mga, mga migrants, new migrants also here in Australia, mga Filipino migrants.
Correct.
So, pero I just want to, I just want to point out then, now for those on temporary visas other than partner visas, the family violence services are still available for you. So it's regardless of your residency status, you can still seek help from Safe Steps, for instance, which is the crisis support center, which is 24/7. Pwede nyo silang tawagan. There may be some benefits that you will not be able to receive kasi hindi kayo eligible because of your visa status, like Centrelink payment, for instance. But it doesn't deter the service providers to give you the assistance that you need. So still seek help, seek support, kahit na hindi kayo naka-partner visa or hindi covered ng family violence provisions yung inyong visa.
I just want to I agree with what Mursha said. Your safety and your livelihood are most important, irrespective of your visa status or your situation or anything like that. But it is important that you seek the correct channels to get the help that you need, and then get the correct advice so that you know where you stand and what your options are. So even though in immigration, this is really the partner visas, the only visa that allows you to use the family violence provision. It doesn't mean that you don't have any other options if you have. If you don't have or you haven't applied for a partner visa. But you have to ensure that your priority is your own safety and the safety of your dependents.
Wow, that's good to hear.
So in relation to what Paul said as in terms of safety, it is also important when you are gathering evidence or doing your diary to ensure that you keep them in a safe place. Para hindi siya mabasa nung perpetrator, no? Baka makita na may sinusulat kayo o kaya mahalata na yun nga, na you're gathering evidence against the person. So still make sure that it is safe, na hindi kayo mapapasuko when you gather your evidence.
Yeah.
And also to add on, lalo na ngayon meron kaming mga facts na lalo na sa mga kaso ng international students, although hindi to covered ng family violence. Just to let you know guys, lalo na dyan sa Pinoys in Melbourne Facebook group, maraming mga nagtatanong about that, but siyempre, this is a very maselan na topic.
Delicate, yeah.
They sometimes they won't share it to others.
Yeah.
And nakakahiya kung sa isip ng iba, but Australia is far way different from some Middle Eastern countries, lalo na yung mga migrants natin. Australia is very supportive on each and every human being. So sa kasi sa 'di ba sa Middle East kasi once na abuso ka, 'di ba, you are in danger of something. Okay? So you thought baka pag 'di ba pag tutulungan ka ng ibang gobyerno, but here you need to, sabi nga ni Mursha and Paul, you need to take care of yourself, and yun ang priority natin. So that's why there is a 000 services ng ating gobyerno.
Yeah. Look, I think culturally, I was born here and grew up in Australia. Obviously, I understand the Filipino culture and my parents' culture as well. And I know that there's a lot of people endure hard times, and that they tend to tolerate these kind of situations because they, whether it be pride or whether it just be shame or whatever it is, it is to say, it's nothing to feel shameful about. It's nothing to feel to feel insecure about. At the end of the day, you're the only one who's going to know what's happening to you and whether you are in danger or not. Yeah. And just to share my experiences, I have been witness to family violence. I have also had, family members who have been killed through family violence. So it is something that happens, and it is something that needs to be addressed. This is not something, along with a lot of issues that negatively affect people. These are things that should not be hidden and things that should not be swept under the rug. Here in Australia, there is a lot of support for people who are going through difficult times, whether it be mental health issues or domestic violence issues, relationship issues, financial issues. And it's just a matter of you, having the confidence and taking the first step. And once you take that first step, it gets easier.
I just want to give a comment on what Mursha said earlier about the future, that there will be a hotline for for the Filipinos or perhaps other nationalities as well to call and have someone from their own community to actually talk to them, because being a from a linguistic point of view, being a language teacher, I know that there are a lot of Filipinas, not only Filipinas but other nationalities as well. They are in partner visa, but they can barely speak English. It's very difficult for them. They're so scared because first, they can't express themselves. They don't know what to say. Okay, so if they talk to some social worker, they can't express themselves. They just cry. Secondly, they don't have enough money, or they don't have livelihood. So they are just really, really scared to leave the abusive relationship because of that. And especially if they have children and they're fully dependent on their Australian partner, So they just endure. And that's what Paul said. They just endure it because they are trapped, They don't know they don't know what to say, and the husband would say, I spent so much money on you and these things, because we all know that lodging your application is not cheap.
Yes.
Yeah. So they felt trapped in this kind of relationship, and I think it's very important what Marsha said, that they need to have this kind of support wherein they can actually express themselves in their own language, right? And they have this kind of support from the people that's from their own community. So I think that's where we should really go, because that way I think more and more women, more and more victims would come out and seek help, you know?
Yes.
That's right. So one of the things that we want to do with the hotline is to really have Tagalog-speaking staff, or even staff who can speak other Filipino languages.
Yeah.
Because you're right, and even with people who are good in conversational English, when you are in a stressful situation, you lose the capacity. And also there are experiences that are not really captured by English, and so the cultural nuances that we are able to get or capture when we speak in language, we are able to get when we have somebody who speaks the language. And so we're hoping also to be able to connect members of the community or experiencing family violence to not only to family violence services, but also to other services that they need, like housing, for instance. So we know that homelessness is linked to family violence. Women leave the relationship, they don't have anywhere to go, and unfortunately at this point, because of the pandemic, the incidence of family violence also increased. Yung new cases have increased, and our family violence service providers are overloaded as a result. So yung mga tinutulungan natin na binigyan natin ng warm referrals, for instance, we were told that it takes about 2 weeks before they can be assigned a support worker. So tama si Paul, wag nating antayin na lumala yung sitwasyon na wala na tayong matirahan bago pa tayo makahingi ng tulong. At gusto ko rin sabihin na if you are worried that about your behavior, that possibly you are actually perpetrating abuse against your family members, but may mga services din tayong pwedeng hingan ng tulong. So ito yung mga tinatawag natin at risk, no? Na hindi pa nangyayari yung violence, pero pwedeng mangyari because of stress, for instance, in the home, or other factors, my high level of conflict. And so there are, counseling services, relationship counseling, financial counseling. May mga men's behavior change programs din na available. So at this point, we don't really know how effective they are, kasi nga medyo bago-bago pa yung mga nag-evolve yung mga services na ito. But at least they're there na pwedeng makatulong sa atin.
And klaro ko lang, I just want to clarify this, Marsha. All these services that you've mentioned, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in a permanent resident visa.
No. Except for central payment, I guess. But so importante na tawagan yung mga specialist service providers, because they would know, they would assess your situation, depende kung ano yung pangangailangan. Kung may anak ka halimbawa, and you need crisis accommodation, then they have to consider the fact that you had kids. They cannot bring you to, a place na hindi safe yung mga bata. Also, if you need a migration agent, for instance, they can connect you. If you need to apply for intervention orders, they can also help you go through the form. My form, you can actually apply online sa Magistrates Court's website, but if you need help to navigate that, they can provide you a support worker to assist you with that. Now, if there is physical assault happening, then you are definitely in danger. Always the advice is to call the police right away, because then the police will also assist you with the next steps. Pwedeng ikaw ang ilalayo doon sa perpetrator, or yung perpetrator ang ilalayo sa iyo. So it is important to, once you contact, it is important to seek support, because once you call them, you are in their system, you are in their database. So hindi ka nila kumbaga ilalaglag. So they have the responsibility, they have the mandate to really help you out. So kung sinasaktan ka na at in danger ang buhay mo or yung mga anak mo, call the police right away, the 000, and they will also help you out.
Okay. With respect to those services that you have mentioned earlier, where can we get those numbers? Are they available in the Silent Witness Network Facebook page, or do we have some sort of brochures?
We do have a brochure. Probably how do we...
Actually, Mursha, you can just send it to us in digital, card nyo. So we can post
otherwise, you can Google Safe Steps, and they will take your case. And kung hindi siya urgent, halimbawa, i-connect din kayo sa mga women's services. Kung kailangan ng crisis accommodation, i-refer kayo sa mga refuges.
Ang concern ko kasi it's okay with the Google thing for the younger generation, ano.
Yeah.
Ang concern ko kasi yung ating mga elderly because we all know that they are not that, savvy when it comes to technology and doing Google things. They have this really, landline phone that they are really good at, no. So I think with respect to that, yung age group, I think it's really important that we have a phone number we can easily give them, and then they can easily reach out, kasi alam mo naman ang mga elderly natin, they're very dependent na sa mga younger anak or apo, diba? But then what if they are in this situation where they are the one needing help? So we have to be able to provide them with the information, easier for them to do, easier for them to understand, I think.
Well, they can call us. So yung number natin sa the Silent Witness Network is 0490 527 346.
We can put it here.
Can you
so
pin that?
0490 527 346.
Can you pin that, Bibo, please, on the comment? Yes.
And if they prefer to call Safe Steps, their number is 1-800 015 188. So that's 1-800 015 188. And look, even the GPs would be informed about this also. So may mga trainings na rin ginagawa sa mga hospitals o sa mga medical workers on recognizing and responding to family violence. So they can tell people who they trust, like their GP, for instance. Lalo na yung GP, pwede nilang kasama sa room without the family member who potentially is abusing them, no? So they can also seek support from the GPs.
Also, sabi ni Ate Liz Gomora is one of the directors, and she's the president also of the 5Bs. Sabi some shared with 5Bs, and they are able to help them, not them to family violence, but also abuse against employers. So because 5Bs Humanitarian Group is a support, I think hindi lang sila international students na. They are now supporting the elderlies at the moment, because sabi nga ni Mayora, some elderlies really are, di ba, vintage, di ba, old school. And also to add on, Paul and Mursha, something is wrong as well sa ating culture, lalo sa family natin. For example, you have a partner visa here, and then yung victim will consult to, di ba, to their families in the Philippines, and sometimes yung mga families sa Pilipinas, they will discourage the victim not to speak up because you need to be stable bago tayo that's a problem with our family culture as well, because of anak, pagtiyagaan mo na muna hanggat ma-PR ka, pagtiyagaan mo na lang because nandiyan ka na. So, di ba, those are problems, but they that's one of the disadvantages of having a culture, a family cultural bond, that because of hardships natin sa Philippines, di ba? And yung lahat ng na kailangan nating endure is kailangan nating endure, not di ba? Parang suffocate na tayo, but still, di ba? You need to suffer because of this. Yung mga bata, di ba? Maawa naman kayo, yung mga bata, baka mag-divorce pa kayo. Di ba? Baka kawawa naman yung mga bata, maging broken family kayo. And that's one of the factors as well sa Filipinos kung bakit, di ba? This family violence are, di ba, out of the books at the moment. So, yeah. So one of these things.
Another concept that is a little bit cultural in that sense is sometimes we don't want to talk about it kasi we're scared na pagchichismisan tayo, di ba? If we tell it to someone else, it's gonna be like, a hot gossip that everybody's gonna talk about. But as Paul said, if it's your safety, you have to talk about it. You don't have to think twice, actually.
And I think I also want to add that people should be respectful of other people's personal situations. If someone's coming to you to disclose a very personal, and probably, a dangerous and confidential situation, you should exercise some respect and listen, because someone's reaching out to you and clearly trusts you enough with that information. And, despite all the cultural things that go on, I think if you know that someone's trying to reach out for help, one of the best things you can do is listen and then see whether you can help them out. But in terms of different cultures and how that's entrenched into our psyche and our upbringing and our values, the difference between Filipino culture and Australian culture, it comes a lot not only from the circumstances and the culture itself, but it's also the opportunities that been faced with. Here in Australia, I guess we're lucky enough to have all this not only opportunity but also services and a sense of safety and individuality that we can get or we can seek help for these kind of situations, and it's nothing to be self-conscious or shameful about. And as soon as you understand that, as soon as you can accept that you don't have to tolerate this, that your priority and your safety comes first, I think that will give you the boost in confidence to do something about it.
I agree. Kasi minsan, sinasabi natin nakakahiya. But I think we should consider the fact na imbes na nakakahiya siya, the impact that the experience can cause on the victim and on children is really serious. So hindi lang physical injury yan, may mga long-term effects din yan in terms of the emotional aspect, yung self-esteem, yung confidence ng tao, tsaka ng mga bata. So hindi lang yung current safety ang iniisip natin, pero yung mga long-term consequences nito sa kanila. And on that note, dun sa usapin ng chismis, I just want to ask Paul a question. There are comments going around about women on partner visas accusing their partners of family violence just to get permanent residency or ensure their permanent residency.
Yes,
Kasi
yes.
nga, nakita natin na it can actually be a pathway to permanent
Shortcut.
residency. Can you comment on that?
I think there are stigmas upon people, and people make assumptions about people from certain countries and certain cultures. You do hear stories about or judgments made about these kind of situations. I think my comment is, at the end of the day, you don't really know the truth. It's the person themselves that that needs to deal with that situation. I think that what's I think if family violence really did occur with someone, then I feel that it will be dealt with appropriately, and that there's a reason why a person is doing that. And I don't think people should not be quick to judge that there is some sort of ulterior motive. That's all I can comment in terms of that. When I deal with clients, and there are clients that have come to me where I did also question it, because they came to me only after they, within a couple of weeks after they arrived in Australia, and suddenly, the Australian partners said, oh, they've left me, and then the wife calls and says, oh, family violence. You can be quick to make the assumption, but it doesn't mean that that's untrue. And when I look at clients, I of course ask them questions and ask them what they've done, and that's why it's important for people to take note of the presentation that I've made, and understand that if you are genuinely in that kind of situation, it's not a matter of just dealing with after it's all over. You need to be smart about it, and you need to be ahead of, you have to put yourself in self a priority, and you have to be on top of your own situation. And you have to prepare yourself, because it's not, this happened, I'm out the door. You will know by instinct or by your own personal feelings what's happening, and it should initiate something for you to start preparing yourself for an exit strategy. That's pretty much what I advise. If something's happening, if something's not right, then it probably is likely that is not right, and that's why you need to start preparing yourself so that you are ready to leave. You can't just leave without a backup or not knowing where you're going. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard you that, Mayora, and I have some additional comments on that as well, details as well. So we'll have a quick ads first.
Maghanap buhay muna tayo, Papi, bago ka mag-comment.
Oh, yun na. medyo mababa talaga to. Okay.
Book your next car service to the experts who care. Taller Auto Service Center assures you the best job quality, value for money, and excellent customer service. Full service starting from $149 only. Book now. Sponsor of 97.9 FM.
Rock on! 979 FM, the home of the West's best stereo.
More music from Melbourne and the western suburbs, only on your community radio station, 979 FM.
Looking for affordable professional music lessons? Well, look no further than Melton Music. No matter your age or ability, we have the right teacher for you. We also offer private and group lessons available for all instruments. Melton Music, making music affordable. Proud sponsors of 979 FM.
Look on my stage, teach me
I lived with a problem of alcohol for many years. I felt sick with anxiety, frustration and hopelessness. I rang Lifeline in desperation. They gave me Al-Anon contacts, and now I am finding my life again. If you are troubled by someone's drinking, please come to an Al-Anon meeting, Melton, Friday nights, 7 p.m. Ring 9642 3330 or 1300 252 666.
Okay, and to add on dun sa sabi nga ni Mursha and Paul, this is very rampant sa made-to-order brides, actually. Because lalo na may mga recruiters na may mga families na talaga sa Philippines yung babae, and then they put di ba, parang citizen para lang makapunta dito yung babae, and that's the problem with our laws because di ba, they're hindi ganun kahigpit yung pagbigay ng visa ng partner visa at the moment, and after that bigla na lang magfa-file sila ng mga family violence cases. Sometimes modus yan, and then after that dadalhin na dito yung babae nung ma-PR niya, dadalhin na dito yung babae yung talagang family niya sa Philippines. So yun yung isang, di ba, case study yan Paul, that's another case study of that needs to be added to your cases, because I think that's being abused by some recruiters and some future migrants that they want to get here in a very complicated way. So just to add on.
Look, the finally like claiming for, it's not just I know in my presentation it's like you just need one document of this or a couple of documents of that, but it doesn't mean that it's not that it's easy to do. Family violence is a serious situation. If you are in if you are genuinely in a family an abusive situation, then you have access and right to be protected. But if you're not in that and you're, maybe, circumventing or trying to use that as a claim when you have no basis for it, then I think that's a bit unfair. There are people who are actually out there going through this, and they need to have they need that access to that service and to those, to those provisions. It's not, claiming family violence isn't necessarily going to speed up your visa. It's not going to make it easier. It's not a quick fix to try and get residency. Even if you do, even when you provide those documents of family violence, they still need to be assessed as whether they're genuine or not. There's still there are still procedures in place for that. But if you don't, if you don't have a case, or there's something that smells funny, they'll pick it up, and it makes it more difficult for them.
Right. From your experience, Paul and Mursha, how often the government changes these provisions? There are some modifications as well, or some changes in bylaws or laws or regulations with regards to family violence.
Well, in terms of the immigration space, the family violence provisions have been in for, they've been in for a while, and they haven't really changed in terms of what it applies to and what kind of visas it applies to. In terms of, in terms of partner visas and all these other type of visas, that changes, every day. But in terms of the actual family violence provision, it's been pretty stable
here
at the moment. However, as I understand, they are changing some of the. They are changing the sponsorship, the Australian sponsors application for a partner visa that will happen sometime soon, where the Australian sponsor needs to apply separately and to get their sponsorship approved first. So there is a character assessment of the sponsor, and ensuring that they have no kind of record. And it's only once that's been assessed and approved, then they'd be able to sponsor someone on a partner visa. So that's one of the new procedures that are being put in place shortly.
I just want to clarify, Paul. I just want to clarify this: that if you are in a prospective marriage visa, this is not. So it's you cannot complain about family violence, is it?
No, if you've been approved a prospective marriage visa, you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you haven't yet been approved a prospective marriage visa, you can't.
Okay.
But if you already have been approved it, and the time between you getting approved your prospective marriage and family violence happens before you actually get married, you can use the family violence provision. Yeah.
Is there, I'm just curious, is there any way wherein, let's say, for example, there was a family violence committed, and then there was some sort of intervention and the couple went back together? Is that possible?
Yeah, that is possible. However, it depends on, there is mediation. It depends on obviously case by case. There can be family, and it's important to also know, and just especially also me being my own relationship, understanding partners, it's important to not only try and, it's also important to understand why the partner is committing that violent act.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying you have to tolerate it. If you can pinpoint or address, the situation as to why that person is being like that, it could, you might be able to support that person in trying to kind of diminish that sort of behavior. It's sometimes the perpetrator also probably needs more help than you do sometimes. And sometimes it's just a matter of saying, hey, you need to go see someone. And this is one important thing I want to kind of stress.
Yes.
Don't always be passive. Sometimes you need to put your foot down and say, hey, you need to stop this and you need to see someone. Because if you continue doing this to me, it's over. And you'll be surprised as to how quickly that person reacts and says, oh, okay, because they're threatened.
Yes.
Because their control and the person that they're controlling has turned around and said, you're not going to control me anymore. And that, and that perpetrator has no longer has control. And that's something they don't want to lose.
Yes.
Yeah,
true. I totally
so they're going to in turn look at their own behavior and hopefully change it, and that sometimes can help a relationship, so you don't, sometimes you can help yourself in your own situation. See if you can help you, depending on the severity of it, see if you can manage your own situation. And sometimes it's a matter of you just putting your foot down and telling them that enough's enough.
Yeah, true. It is really about educating yourself as well, really, right? I mean, Marsha?
Yeah, so that's why we say the best advice is not always to say leave the relationship, or stay in the relationship and suck it up, or because you that's your choice to get married to that person. So panindigan mo. Ganyan.
Yes.
So it depends on the situation. If the relationship can be saved, and those involved in the relationship can take a step back and reflect and say we can do better, we can start again and do better, then that's the best for them. So it's not always na umalis ka kasi or bakit hindi ka umalis. Sabihin walang problema kasi hindi malaki yung problema kasi hindi ka naman umalis. So yeah, good point there, Paul.
Yes. I think to add on as well, ang ganda ng sinabi ni Paul, ni Mayora, and ni Mursha. I think you need to identify if the family violence itself is the cause or it is the effect. Diba? Kasi doon yung makikita kung paano nyo solve yung relationship, or it might be it's a good thing na you need to really dig deeper on the cause. Maybe it's not your partner, maybe it's you. Maybe you are the one who's causing him to hurt you. You know what I mean? O kaya meron siyang dating, di ba? May dati siyang problems during childhood na hindi natin alam, hindi rin sinabi sa inyo. And that's the reason why nagkakaroon ng family violence itself, which is, yun nga sabi ni Mursha, maybe yun ang kailangan nating i-resolve first bago dun sa naging epekto. But if it's really the person na apektado, sabi nga ni Mursha and Paul, just call 000 and that will solve itself. Di ba?
Yes.
No, kasi for me...
Okay.
To
add you, I'm just trying to lighten up mga beshi, di ba? Tulad na may mga soldiers of love. I'm just wondering, I just want to ask Sir Paul, you're speaking about stigma, di ba? We're speaking about stigma. How do you handle about being as a male, asking for advice for a family violence?
As a male, I think it's challenging. Probably more challenging because of the stigma of the masculine type of role, and it can be, I have had a situation where I have had a heterosexual couple, and the man came to me and said that his sponsor was financially was slapping him and financially abusing him, he didn't really feel safe in that because he was constantly being kicked out of the house, and he felt a little bit of I guess he didn't feel like a man, which is all gender roles, I suppose, at the end of the day. But we need to look at things a little bit more. We need to look at things without the stigma and without the actual, attachment of expectation towards it. And then. And I think at the same time, with the helplines that are available, there are men's helplines available for men in order to discuss these situations as well. And I think it's also as important for men to realise that they too have a right as much as they do a woman. To be able to claim or to actually accept that they're in an abusive relationship, regardless of what gender their partner is. I think a couple, two key things, is the first thing is, am I experiencing? The first question you need to ask is, am I experiencing this checklist or this definition of violence? And secondly, am I feeling threatened, and am I feeling safe? There's no question that says, am I a man or am I a woman?
Yes.
Or am I transsexual, or am I, or am I of particular race? It just needs to be looked at pragmatically, and it is, well, if it's yes, then I need to do something about it. But I think as with, we discussed about culture and the understanding of culture and expectations and roles. Sometimes we just have to let them go and prioritize ourselves and look at our own safety, and if it's something that we feel threatened, or if we feel that it is a violent situation, then you need to do something about it. And and one of the first things to do is, like as what we addressed earlier, is sometimes it is better, it is important to confront your partner and say, well, look, this is what's happening. I don't like it. I think it's a problem. Are we going to do something about it? Do you want to do something about it? Sometimes it is a question of, do you want to do something about it? Because they don't want to do anything about it, and they don't think they've done anything wrong. Yes. Then don't climb up, don't walk up, a hill that's, collapsing. Just get out of there, because that person has no consideration for you.
Yes. To add on from all of our discussions, I think we're focusing on the spouses, but just to remind you guys that family violence is also targeting children. So as of now, 1 of 4 of all children are exposed to family and domestic violence during childhood, and that's very dun kayo maano, because 25% of the kids around Australia at the moment are exposed to family violence, and you shouldn't be thinking of yourself as well. If you are okay, I'm going to endure this because I can still, but your children are exposed to that, you need to really be alarmed about these kinds of activities. Kasi ito yung childhood nila. You as a parent destroyed the future ng mga anak niyo already because of that. You exposed them. You let it happen. Diba? You're letting it happen to you, hindi lang sa'yo, kundi sa mga kids as well. So any comment on that, Mursha?
Yes, that's right. So yun nga, yung near exposure ng mga bata sa family violence that happened between their parents, for instance, will have also serious consequences on them. So, well, may mga sinasabi na they can become perpetrators themselves when they grow up, and we don't want that happening. Even if they don't become perpetrators of abuse themselves, again, yung sense of well-being nila, yung self-esteem nila ay na apektuhan din. And I actually heard a story na yung tatay lasenggo, nag-binge drinking siya. So yung nanay, tinatago yung alak para hindi makita nung asawa, no? Eventually yung wife hid the alcohol inside the car. So the husband, wanting to drink, took a knife, went to the car to use the knife to open the car kasi tinago ng asawa yung susi. The wife followed, so pipigilan niya yung asawa niya. And then the children saw them fighting over the knife and called the police. So the police, proceeded, and an intervention order was filed against the husband. So we don't want these incidents to go to that point of families breaking up just because of nakita lang yung kutsilyo na hawak ng mag-asawa. But the point is that we should be concerned about the children witnessing that kind of violence. So kahit hindi sila nagkasakitan, pero yung epekto sa mga bata, natakot sila, they become scared of their safety and their well-being and what's going to happen with their family or with their parents. That's critical. That's a critical impact on them. So tama. Sabi nga nung isang na-interview ko din for our podcast, which is published in Ugnayan, who is a social worker, her question is that what kind of society are we creating?
Yes.
Kung ganito yung nakikitang sitwasyon ng mga anak natin. So, anong klaseng generation ang ating pinapalaki? And so, moving on from that, I'd like to say I'm quite happy to hear the question from Bibo related to yung masculinity, no? Kasi there's a trending discussion now about yung traditional gender roles of what it means to be a man or to be a boy is already changing. Outdated na yung mga
Yes.
stereotypes na yan or traditional gender roles na yan. And it seems that the younger generations like Bibo, yung mga millennials natin, are really
Kaya namin, ha?
To those changes. So it's a good thing to promote those kind of things, of changes among the younger generations, rather than keeping them scared, or I would say para natin silang dinidismaya na magkaroon ng pamilya o magkaroon ng magandang relationship. So, yeah.
Papi, hanap buhay?
Yan, sige, hanap buhay man natin. Pero bago tayo maghanap buhay, may stats tayo dito, ha? Ito, nakaka-ano tong stat na to. Akala natin, I think because of the gender equality, that's really, di ba? Surrounding the world today, di natin alam na itong ating stats na to is, sabi nga ni Paul, di niya rin halos nakita to. Ang stat dito is, 1 in 3 victims of family violence is male. That is today's statistics. And sabi nito, a man is severely assaulted by his wife or girlfriend every 15 seconds.
Kawawa naman yung
Kawawa naman kami, mga soldiers of love, ha? Mga
soldiers of love talaga, mga kailangan kaya i-discuss yan.
Oo.
I have a question related to that for Paul, pero sige, income generating.
Okay, alam muna tayo mag-advertise.
The Divas, a program to empower women. Transform your life physically, mentally and emotionally in only 30 days. 15th of March to the 15th of April. Activities include wellness, fashion, yoga and meditation, motivation, grooming and a transformational portfolio. Like us on Facebook at The Divas. Register your expression of interest at thedivas.com.au/register or phone 0433 077 896. The Divas is a sponsor of 979 FM.
Alan Miranda, immigration lawyer, is professionally equipped with extensive experiences, knowledge of Australian immigration laws and procedures. We ensure you getting into the right path of all types of Australian visa application. We thoroughly analyze and evaluate circumstances of each client and always look for the best valuable approach. Hence, why wait? Avail now and say yes to our service, which will open the doors for your future. Sponsor 97.9 FM.
Hello, this is Claire Bowditch.
Hi, this is Rachel Learcar.
Hi, this is Wendy Matthews.
Hi, this is Renee Geyer, and you are listening to 979 FM.
Ayun! We still have 15 minutes dito lang po sa 97.9 FM Melton Community Radio. Yung ating Filipino Aussie program, Good Vibes Pilipinas. Boom! Kung hindi pa po kayo nakakapag-like sa aming Facebook page, yan po ang aming Facebook page sa baba, pati ang aming YouTube channel, ang aming Twitter, pati na yung aming TikTok, and yung aming Instagram. Okay, Good Vibes Pilipinas po lamang. Okay, Mayora?
Marsha, anong tanong mo para kay Paul?
Ayun, kasi in relation to evidence gathering, tapos, yun nga, I think this is also relatable when it comes to male victims. Yung emotional abuse and psychological abuse, they are harder to prove. compared to physical abuse. Because with physical abuse, you can see marks or bruises on the body or broken bones, whatever they may be. But with financial abuse, emotional and psychological abuse, they may be hard to prove. So in terms of gathering evidence, what do you suggest?
I think it's important to probably see a counsellor or a social worker, because obviously counsellors, social workers, psychologists deal with effects of the mind and mental health, or even like male male crisis and emergency organizations. I think it doesn't, because it's hard to identify someone's mental health, because it's not a physical thing that you can see, but a professional will be able to make that assessment as to whether this mental health situation is a direct effect from the relationship. With my previous clients, they were able to provide, a report from the GP together with their social worker that, the medication or the antidepressants that the client was on was directly related to, the abusive relationship that he was in, and that was supported by, the social worker statement. So, I think it is generally a bit more difficult to get or gather evidence about it, but I think it's also in my presentation, when I talked about making journal entries and having your own diary, that also, you're putting your thoughts onto paper as well as, your observations. Sometimes a session with a doctor or a counsellor, you can't articulate or explain everything, in that one session. But if you have those notes to help you, and if they have reference to it, they will be able to piece things together. That will help them. Will help them put some context into your particular situation. So, don't necessarily expect, or not. Sorry, I shouldn't say don't expect, but professionals and third parties are there to assist you. But you should also be proactive in making, helping yourself and making those, entries and making those records for yourself as well.
I wanna explore one of your case study, Paul, where there is this loving man, but eventually, assaulting or molesting the daughter. Okay, and in that scenario that you show us, it was lucky because the mom was able to caught him in the act, right? Yeah. But what if, the kid is scared, and children, they don't open up. Yeah, it's very difficult in that aspect, because this happened in the Philippines. When I was a student teacher, but this is in the case of the Philippines, wherein the mother, she's working in the market, she's selling fish. So 4 o'clock in the morning, the mother, or even earlier than that, okay, the mother and the stepfather would go to the market.
Yeah.
Okay. So the mother has this feeling that the husband is also in the market, because he's a bicycle driver. Okay. Yeah. But eventually the husband would go back to the house and sexually rape the stepdaughter. Okay. And when you go to their house, it's a shack, all of the people there's no rooms. It's a shack. They're all sleeping together and things like that.
Yeah.
And the mother didn't know that this is happening. Only the teacher found out, because the child seemed to be, she can't concentrate. She's always in the corner. She doesn't want to, mixed with the class. And it was just the teacher, my advisor teacher, who seemed to be, picking up these signs. And she was the one who did the investigation.
Yeah.
But if this teacher didn't pick up that sign, the child will suffer, who knows, all her life.
Yeah.
So this is a very difficult situation, and I want to put it in the context of Australia because most of the parents are so busy.
Yes.
Moms are so busy. Okay, when your kid is in the room, you don't, you knock them and you just say, "How are you? I'm fine." You don't really sit down and talk to them. So what would be your advice? I'm just concerned about this situation.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's an extremely serious issue.
Yes.
And it's not. It's sometimes these things when you're not aware of it, then you turn. You kind of you're ignorant about it. I think it's important to. And I'm no psychologist or anything like that, but I think it's important to maintain communication and relationships with your children and the people around you. I mean, as a parent, I'd imagine that you have a sense of your own child's behaviour, and as soon as a behavioural situation arises, or there's a change in behaviour, there is an instinct, as you do, or as you have with all relationships in your life. When something's changed or something's different. And I think sometimes we're scared to try and confront that and see, or even know how to deal with it. And there are here in Australia, if a situation where a teacher is concerned, they would normally bring that up with the parent. If there are some signs of some sort of abuse, then there is a obligation to address that. As a parent, if you suddenly, if you feel like there's a behavioural change in your child, don't necessarily wait for that for them to get over it, or they'll be fine. I think that there are services out there, or even speaking to a GP or speaking to a child psychologist or welfare counsellor can help address those issues. And building a trust. I think it's important to build trust with your child, so you have open communication all the time. But sometimes a child doesn't want to speak to you, but if you can't get that information, or if you can't identify what's going on, then seek a professional, someone who has experience to give you those tools, or actually see the child themselves to be able to bring that up. And if it comes to if it is a situation where the child is being abused, then you as a parent have the duty of care to make sure your child is safe. And if that means that you need to separate them from the perpetrator, then you need to do that. If you get, if you've seen if the teacher has, the teacher can provide a report about that because of their observations with a child, and you've got your counsellor or the welfare organisation that can support that, then you've got two pieces of evidence there. But go a step further and go to the police, because it's a crime. It's a crime against a child, and that should never be tolerated.
And I'd like to point out also, because being a teacher, I mean, we have a really, really crucial role to play in this situation, because we are the second parents of the children. But I also would want to appeal to the parents that when your child's teacher want to discuss something about your child, please do not ignore, or just have a go with it. Have a conversation with the teacher. And don't deny it. Listen. Listen to the teacher, because there might be something happening and they might be able to help. You know what I mean? So it's really important. Bibo, our job is really important.
Definitely.
Okay, Papi?
Yeah. One
Limang
more.
minuto na lang.
Yeah, one more backlash is I think alam mo yung ano sa atin, yung corrections, yung justice system here in Australia is so light. Para sa akin is so soft sa ganitong klaseng violence. I think even a biological father raping his own daughter just spent 3 years in jail, which is in the Philippines it's a death penalty. Alam niyo yun? Because that's the problem. Lalo na ngayon, we have this step parenting, step kids relationship. Lalo na may mga parents dati, di ba? From another relationship, nagkaroon ng anak, and then they mixed and live together using, having a step parenting, step kids relationship. Mas marami yan dito sa Australia because of that. And we don't know. Kaya nga sabi ko, di natin alam ang statistics niyan. Only those who are reporting. But inside, di ba, sa loob ng ano na yon, ng household na yon, we don't know. And that's why I'm encouraging you guys, lalo din sa mga Facebook pages, Facebook groups, lalo na yung hindi nare-reach out ng 97.9 FM, lahat ng aming sinasabi, sana mabigyan din kayo ng konting influence around the world. Hindi lang dito, na Australia is very lucky that we have these kinds of provisions. And lalo na kayo mga friends, alam namin na you are living happy, but sometimes you have friends out there na may ganitong problema. Please help them. Diba? You need to have, you have the responsibility as a citizen, as a friend, and as a community member, na i-report ito because you are letting crime, diba? Crime to This is a crime. You are letting criminal get away with something. And yun lang talaga, lalo na sa family ng Filipino-Australian setup, napakahirap. Because parang, sige pa, pabayaan na lang natin sila, buhay nila yan. But, it is a crime here in Australia. It is a crime, diba? Crime yun, kahit anong gawin natin. Okay, so I'll let you guys have your part now. Guys, Mursha and Paul?
Any last words, Mursha?
Any last words?
Yeah, sure. Family violence is a rather complex issue, as we have seen, and we know that there are serious consequences, not only to victims, but also to children. But let's be optimistic and see that it is also a preventable problem. So we can prevent it. It is something that we can all take part in addressing, sabi nga ni Papi, through the small steps that we undertake. So my call to action is for us to educate each other that family violence is not acceptable in whatever form it is done. And if you're experiencing family violence or maybe at risk, or you may be worried that you yourself is causing violence in your family, then don't hesitate to ask for support from friends, family, church leaders, community leaders, people you trust, as well as professional support service providers. So let's not wait for the problem to escalate before seeking help. I think at this point, na-inspire kasi ako kay Bibo. So I think at this point, we can also throw a challenge to our community leaders to be role models of respectful relationships, not just in their families, but also among themselves, how they resolve conflicts that arise among the different Filipino organizations, for instance, since we, the community members, look up to them as examples of good conflict resolution and respectful relationship. So again, if you need warm referral from the Silent Witness Network, please feel free to call us. That's on 0490-527-346. Maraming salamat sa Good Vibes Pilipinas for hosting us.
Thank you,
Thank you very much, Ms. Mursha.
Paul?
So thank you again for having me tonight. I hope that you found that presentation valuable. I think one of the things I want to point out, and one thing that Mursha had addressed the other day, was that, you know, people in the community, when they're going through this kind of situation, tend to ask other people in the community and are hesitant to speak to a professional or a lawyer or an agent because they think they have to pay, which in most cases they do. But, you know, it's where you can, if you are, you know, you only do get one shot at, you know, getting your immigration situation and the choices that you make right. So, you know, when you are preparing, you know, if you are in a situation where you need to know what your options are, or whether, you know, what you're doing is the right thing, I urge you to speak to someone who is professional or specialist in the area, who can give you some give you the correct information. Now, I am offering my service in terms of an initial consultation for advice for those who are experiencing this kind of situation. You know, I don't, you know, normally don't provide complimentary services. We do have charged consultations, but at the same time, my values also lie in helping the wider community when it comes to safety and you know, and family violence. So if you are unsure of where you stand, if you are unsure if the evidence you got is sufficient, if you are unsure of what you need to do, or if you're unsure as to how it's going to affect your visa or your immigration status, do send me an email or give me a call, and I'll give you some brief advice, you know, for free. But yeah, so that's that's.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Can you give us your digital business cards, Mursha and Paul, so that we can post it?
I will
send it through email.
Do that, but I'll send that through to you. How do I do that?
Yeah, just send it through us, messenger or email, and we can post it anytime soon.
Okay.
All
yeah.
Right. Oh, good.
Ay naku mga beshies, ang bilis talaga ng oras. Wala na tayong oras.
Grabe discussion na yun. Grabe. Matindi.
But before we go, mga beshies, I just would like to thank our audience. I would like to thank our followers and likers. And also, obviously, I would like to thank our sponsors. Maraming salamat po sa aming mga sponsors. Nandyan syempre parati ang SD Properties, Miss Sheila, Mighty Finance, Miss Bernardine, syempre MLB. Happy anniversary sa Tambayan!
Happy anniversary, Tambayan!
Ipakita tayo ng Project 3 will be performing.
Anniversary sa Tambayan, Boss MLB. Binabati ka namin ng maligayang anibersaryo. Syempre maraming salamat kay Attorney Miranda ng Miranda Migration. At of course, Talier Otto, Broom. Maraming salamat. Papi Mel Andrew. Papi, Bibo.
Siya nga pala, yung October promo, hanggang bukas na lang. Hanggang 2 days na lang ng Talier Otto. So guys, magpabook na kayo. October promo yan ng Talier Otto.
At syempre may paraffle pa rin kami niyan.
Oo, nga pala.
Malapit na nating anniversary, guys, ha? So looking forward for that. Again, my name is Bibo Santos saying, stay safe, do acts of kindness, and have faith in God.
At syempre ako na naman po ang inyong Mayora Mered Safra. Maraming salamat po sa pagsama niyo sa amin ngayong gabi. At lagi niyo pong tatandaan, good vibes po lamang. Salamat po.
Ayan, sa ngalan po ng aming mga kasama. Apologies dun sa ating dalawang kasama. Sobrang busy. Sa ngalan po ang mga sponsor sa pinagtalakay ni Mayora. And to our guest, Mursha and Sir Paul, thank you very much for visiting us. We'll do this again. Thank you very much. This is a very sensitive topic, actually. Terms are just sensitive. I knew it because we've been this through Ate Melba Morganson. Anyways, guys, ayan. Ito naman po ang inyong Papi Melvin Mata. Dito lang sa 97.9 FM. Melton Community Radio West Best Stereo Filipino Aussie program. Good vibes, Pilipinas! Boom!
Oh yeah.
With the most variety on the FM dial, this is 979 FM.
Breaking news, Explosions Bar and Bowl is now open. Explosions Bar and Bowl is located at 125 Bakery Square. It has 10 lanes for 10-pin bowling, 50 arcade games, a pool room, function facilities for all your party requirements for both kids and adults, a full functional bar together with a kitchen that will look after your appetite. Explosions Bar and Bowl is open every day from 10 a.m. till 8. Proud sponsor of 979 FM.
This is a 979 FM Community Diary.
Sons of the West is a free health program for men aged 18 and over. The program is delivered by Melton City Council in conjunction with the Western Bulldogs Community Foundation. Throughout the 10 weeks, participants will meet a range of experts who discuss topics related to physical and mental well-being. Along with lots of information provided each week, participants have the opportunity to put their runners on, get active and have some fun. Qualified professionals are on hand to ensure support is available for men of all fitness levels. The program is a great way for men to learn ways to improve their health, meet other men in the community and have some fun and a few laughs at the same time. Sons of the West is not really for fitness fanatics and sports stars. It's for all men to come together to learn tips and tricks to leading a healthier and more active lifestyle. Sons of the West is a free 10-week program commencing on Tuesday the 17th of March at Taylors Hill Community Centre, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m, and Thursday the 19th of March at Arnold's Creek Community Centre, 4:30 to 6:30 and 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. For more information or to enrol, please contact Leanne Christie at Melton City Council on 9747 7200.
The 979 FM Community Diary. Simply email details to communitydiary@979fm.com.au or post to PO Box 979 Melton, Victoria 3337.
Become a member or subscriber of 979 FM today by phoning 9747 0450 during business hours or phone 9747 8500 after hours. Support 979 FM today.
From pop to jazz, country to classical, you're listening to Real Variety, 979 FM.